Hi guys! I'm a few months behind on my One Little Word album. Life just sort of got me and I didn't carry on past April's prompt. So I had a few choices. I could just not worry about those months and start again from July, or I could give up entirely and just call it done. But I decided instead I would put in the work, go back to April and just start catching up those 3 months. So the first thing I did was go back to April and finish filling in the journaling for the question prompts that I had asked myself. And as well as that, I did fill in the action for that month, which was buying a house. So I added my photo, filled in my journaling, and next I wanted to get really organized about what's going to go next. Now, May's prompt was a photo prompt, and obviously I didn't take any photos specifically for this prompt in May, nor am I going to have an action for that month because it's already over. So I'm just leaving 2 sides of a pocket page to add in some photos for the May prompt, and then I worked out how many pages I'm going to need for June and then where my July prompt is going to start. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is alter the handouts, which are letter size, to fit into my pocket page notebook, and I'm going to show you how I do that in Photoshop. So to convert the handouts from this month's prompt into Traveler's Notebook, pocket page notebook sized handouts, I've just opened a new A4 canvas in Photoshop and I've pulled out 2 guidelines, one at 110mm and one at 220mm, which effectively gives me a 2-page spread for my pocket page notebook. So then all I'm going to do is just grab the PNG files for the handouts for June and just drag them onto my page. Now I'm just going to line them up with either the edge of the page or one of the grid lines. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and align it to the guidelines so it's the width of a Traveler's Notebook page, and then just hit return, and I will need to do that 2 more times. Now I'm just going to pull the ones I don't need at the moment out of the road so that I can just work on this first page here. And what I don't want is everything to be pushed up to the top of this page with all these lines. I want to spread everything out a little bit. So to do that, I need to rasterize this layer. And then I can go ahead and start deleting the parts that I don't want. So I don't want lines. So I'm just using the marquee tool just to select around the lines and then just hitting delete. And even though these ones have got the numbers in them, I don't want numbered lines either. I'll just write freeform. If you want the lines, you can leave them in and just spread them out the same way as I'm going to spread out the rest of this page in a second. But what I don't want is the lines, because I've shrunk everything down. It's still going to be readable for me, but writing on those tiny little lines is not going to be doable. So I just remove the lines and then I don't have to worry about it at all. So to spread things out a bit, I do the exact same thing. I use the marquee tool. I select everything except the top piece. Then I grab just my move tool and drag it all down the page just a little bit, and then hit Command D to deselect it. And then I just repeat that for the rest of the page, just spacing it out as I go. And then I just repeat that process with the other 2 pages. Now, obviously I'm going to need to print more than 1 A4 page because I've got 2 more and I'm only going to be able to print 2. So all I do is I just move my second page into position, and then the 3rd page will end up back over top of the 1st page. So all I do is unselect it on the layers menu and then carry on doing the 3rd page here in exactly the same way. And then when I go to print, I'll just unselect anything that I don't want to print. I'll just print that page, and then I can just print these 2 pages. And then once I trim them out, I'll have all 3 of my insert pages ready to go. The only other thing I want to do here is to change the grey of In Progress. At the start of the year, I had a pink look to it, but I think I'll do a different colour. And so there are a couple of ways of doing this. One, you can select all the grey letters and then just use a brush tool, pick a colour that you want. Let's go teal because why not? And then paint over top of it. I've got my first 2 pages ready for printing. The only other thing that I want to do is I want to extend these 2 lines across the top of my second page, because these 2 pages are going to be seen in a spread in my notebook. I really want the lines to continue across. So all I need to do is go back to the first page layer. I'm going to just select just the lines and then edit, transform and scale, and I'm just going to run these lines all the way across to my second guidelines and then hit return. So I have printed out and trimmed my inserts, and all I need to do now is just stick them onto the appropriate pages in my notebook. I do need to, of course, fill out the journaling on those prompts, but I will do that off camera because it does take me a little bit of time to write all that stuff out. So 2 of them are just getting stuck down onto the actual paper pages of my notebook, and the other one got slipped into the insert, so that was fairly easy. I've got my pages for May, which had the little May tag on it, and I very handily, past Diane, actually made a June tag as well. So I can go ahead and stick that onto the first page of the June prompts. And then all I've got left to do is to create my action for this month. So those are little pages that I've already made. I pre-printed them for the rest of the year, but they don't quite fit into my Pocket Page notebook properly. So I've been backing them each month with some of this beautiful gold foiled paper that I picked up at the start of the year. So I just need to trim that down to fit, stick the insert on top, and then I can choose an action for the month. Given that there's only a few days of June left when I'm filming this, I'm going to make that action super easy. And now I'm going to fill in my journaling and I'll come back. So I filled out all my journaling, and on the bottom of the 3rd page was a space to add anything extra that you wanted to add. So I decided to stamp out a little note to self, as I generally do, and I'm going to use the little alpha that's in the highlight stamp set from Feed Your Craft. So I'm just stamping out this as a process, and then I decided that there was a stamp in one of these Ellie Edwards sets that said let go, so I would add that in there. I quite liked the change of font there. And just to do your best, because one thing I do want to try my hardest at is not feeling guilty when I don't do what I thought I was going to do. So I needed to trim that insert down just a little bit more and slip that in, and then that is June's prompt all done. Now I just need to fill in my action for the month, which, like I said, I've only got a few days left in June, so I'm making it really easy and just putting have some fun. I know it's totally non-specific, but it is very achievable in the next few days. Now all I need to do is go back through some of my photos from May, and quite honestly probably further back than that, and just pick out a few that mean something to me to do with my word balance. I used the same technique with opening a new canvas in Photoshop, dragging out those guidelines, and then I created some really basic collages in Photoshop with those photos that I had picked from the last couple of months or so. Just going to trim those down, although you can see I struggle with this paper trimmer. I really love it, but it doesn't cut my photo paper very well, so I end up using a pair of scissors later on. But before I stick these straight into the pocket of my Pocket Page notebook, I'm just going to add just a few of these tiny word phrase stickers from Tim Holtz. I love this sort of beautiful little positive sayings on it. I know none of them really have anything to do with balance, but I just picked little sayings that I loved that were somewhat relatable to the photos that I had picked out. I'm choosing 3 for each page or each side of my insert there. And then I do need to trim these down a little bit more to fit into my pocket, I realize. And then I can just go ahead and stick them into my album. And just like that, I'm all caught up on my One Little Word album again. So I encourage you, no matter how far you are behind, it is totally doable to catch up. Take some time, go back, simplify the prompts if you need to, but just take the time and get that album up to date. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. There are a couple more videos on screen if you want to keep watching. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye.